The Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I had the absolute privilege to attend not one but in fact two memorial services in Christchurch last week. Along with many other people in this House, I was humbled to be able to attend on Friday, on a beautiful Christchurch day, the National Memorial Service for the people who had lost their lives in the Christchurch earthquake. And it was an absolutely wonderful service, and it was a service that I think was very fitting for the people of Christchurch and the families and friends of those who died. The other service I got to attend last week was also sad, poignant, and yet a wonderful service, and that was on the Monday night at the beginning of the week, when there was a service particularly for the victims who were either staff or students of King's Education, who were in the CTV building. And many in the House will know that approximately 80 people have either lost their lives or are missing as a result of being students or staff at King's Education. It was a much smaller service, still quite large, several hundred people there, and we were able to get a glimpse at the lives and the aspirations of the staff and students at that institution. And I'd like to take the opportunity to pay tribute to the surviving staff members and the surviving directors of King's Education for the way they've coped with the tragedy that has befallen their institution. At the end of the Friday service, Mr Speaker, there were two videos at the Friday service. The first one was at the start, and it was of the damage to the Christchurch, particularly the CBD, but also around the city. But the second one was at the end of the service, and I thought it encapsulated what I've come to know as the indomitable spirit of Christchurch people. It was a marvellous video which showed people not just surviving in adversity, but also having the opportunity to show their spirit, their courage, and sometimes their humour as they began the very big task of rebuilding the city. And it is, while not stopping the grieving process, time for us all to turn to look at the rebuild of Christchurch. And it will be a very big job, Mr Speaker, a very big job, not just in the term of this government, but after the upcoming election in the next 3 years of the government of the day as well. I just look in the portfolio areas that I'm particularly familiar with, areas like tertiary education, where not only the private sector that was stationed in the middle of town has been very seriously affected, but also CPIT, the big polytechnic in the city, which is within the original cordon, and I'd like to pay tribute to the way the management and staff have got that institution up and running again. Canterbury University, of course, a very, very big institution, and have been very significantly affected and have their students learning under canvas at the moment and for the next several weeks in Christchurch to show that they can get the show back on the road. And also institutions a little less affected like Lincoln University and Otago University, who have not only looked after their own people but offered help to other institutions. The transport sector as well. On Thursday I had again the opportunity to go around and see for myself the state of the roading system in Christchurch, and there's a huge amount of work to be done there for all of us. And the telecommunications sector has been a bit of a sleeping giant in the earthquake. And I'd like to pay tribute to the companies that were involved in terms of how quickly they got up and kept the telecommunications system going, particularly the cell phone systems in the city, not just at the time of the earthquake, but 3 or 4 days later when we were all running around trying to get the right number of generators to cell phone sites to ensure that they kept going. Mr Speaker, it's a very big job, the rebuild of Christchurch. The government will be committing, as the Minister of Finance said, very, very significant sums of money up front, and then we will have to work out how to bring the books back into balance, and that is what this government is focused on right now. We have rejected the idea of an earthquake levy because it would just add to people's cost of living as the economy comes out of recession, but instead we have said that we will watch very carefully our government expenditure in the years ahead. It was a program that was already being worked on, that was signalled in the January State of the Nation speech by the Prime Minister, and it is a program that will be accelerated to ensure that not just that the government gets its books back into balance, but the international lenders that lend us the money as a country, that they too have confidence in the future of New Zealand and in our ability to recover from this earthquake.